Welcome to the ABCs of Preschool podcast, inspiration and tips for moms, teachers, and childcare providers. I'm your host, Miss Amber, the early childhood expert with almost 30 years in the field and a proud mom too. I know you're busy chasing those littles, so let's get right to it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ABCs of Preschool. I'm your host, Miss Amber. And it's Valentine's week. Wishing everybody a happy Valentine's, whether you have a partner or not. I love what Valentine's represents, and it's just love. I think it's just a quick reminder to pause and give love ourselves, and know that love is at the core, or should be the core, at everything. I'm wearing my red today for love. I also love red, the color red. It's a beautiful rainy morning here in Northern California. And before I jump into this week's episode, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much if you found this podcast for listening. Thank you so much if you were one of those wonderful, amazing people that supported me last week when I launched the ABCs of Preschool book. As an author, when you start writing a book, sometimes it takes a long time. I realized I started writing that book at 40. So like I talked about last week. And so Tuesday, when it went live, it just feels good. And I think I'll feel even better when I can hold the book in my hand. I can smell the pages. It's just one of those things, like a goal that is set and you finally reach the end and it actually happens. So it feels great. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. And there's some really exciting things. A couple weeks ago, all you mamas were on my heart. I've been working behind the scenes on an academy program, a training program for teachers of early childhood education, directors, and owners. All of that went live. And then I launched that, and I just felt like I was missing you mamas. So I took a deep dive. I locked myself in my office and created a free, it's called Mama Love, because all you mamas deserve so much love because you give your heart and soul into your little ones. It's called Mama Love, and it's free, and it's 12 videos, hopefully of encouragement and inspiration and just little quick tips, but more really just encouragement. So check it out at thelovingstartway.com. It's free. And if you haven't heard about our community, if you are an educator, we have an online curriculum community that's amazing. That's going to save a ton of time now. Every month, it's a new theme. So February is out. It's all about Valentine's and community helpers and all your projects, your calendar, everything, circle time, art, sensory, it's all done for you. It's incredible. So shout out to that. And then let's dive in. This week, I really have been thinking about love. And the topic this week is guilt-free self-love. And I was going back and forth between self-love and self-care. And I think those represent each other. When we love ourselves fully, we really put the care in, and we take time to take care of this vessel, this body that we've been given, our soul, our mind, our spiritual, emotional. So I believe self-care and self-love really go hand in hand. And that's what I want to talk about today, because it took me a really long time to learn self-love. It took me a long time, years, I think, to start really loving myself. I think it's a journey. I think as women in particular, I think it's really hard for women, for us to love ourselves fully because we see all the flaws. However, I had all my kids over last night for dinner. They're all adults, except my daughter's almost an adult. And there was a lot of the guys, my husband, my sons, and then there was one of my son's friend was over. And I was really surprised. I was sitting there just listening, and they're critical as well. So I think as humans, they were talking about their body and maybe not being happy all the time, and maybe like working out more at the gym. And so I was really realizing that I think it's just a human thing. Are we ever satisfied? Are we ever fully satisfied with our body, with our life, with the way we look, with what we're giving to the world? I don't know. And will we ever be fully satisfied? But today I just want to talk about self love. And so I think it's something we all struggle with, whether you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a teacher, you're an owner of a school, you're a director. I've realized if we do not love ourselves, and if we are so critical of ourselves, it's going to flow out of us. So if you're an educator, if you're a teacher, if you're a director, if you're an owner of a childcare center or preschool, and you're walking in every day to your classroom and you're hating on yourself and you haven't taken the time out to care for yourself, I think it's really going to be hard to pretend. I think we all learned how to pretend. I think I learned how to pretend for a really long time. I think I put a mask on for a long time and pretended my way through life for years. And on the inside, I was struggling and really did not have a lot of self confidence. I did not like myself. I didn't love myself for a long time. So, whatever your role is in this world, if you're a mama and you're juggling work and momhood and carpool and soccer and daycare and preschool, if you're an educator and you're giving all of yourself during the day to your little ones, your students, you're pouring it all into everybody else. My question this week and this moment is, what is left for you? To be a good leader, to be a good teacher, to be a good entrepreneur, to be a good mama, we have to start pouring care and love within ourselves without feeling guilty. When I was raising my little ones, my kids, and starting Loving Start Learning Centers, I was on this hamster wheel that just kept spinning. like, and I've talked about it before, but my coping mechanism was to stay busy. If I stayed busy enough, then I wouldn't think. And I wouldn't have to realize that I'm hating on myself. I'm not happy in the marriage I was in. My self worth was in the toilet. I don't think I had any self worth. I stayed busy and I put a smile on my face and I poured myself into my 4 children, being a mom, being the best volunteer that I could be. I poured myself into my schools and work, and I wanted to be the best teacher I could be. I wanted to be the best director and the best owner of a business. I poured all of myself, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, all of it. I was pouring in everything else. And last week on the podcast, I talked about those words, you have cancer. What I was doing is giving so much over and over and over. It's like a gas tank. And next week, I'm going to talk about the 5 love languages, but it's like a gas tank. And what happens with our cars when they go empty? I mean, unless you're driving, the electric car, which I freaking love. But when our gas tank is empty, our car cannot move forward. It just can't. So if your gas tank is empty all the time, how exhausted do you feel? How emotionally drained do you feel? How completely overwhelmed do you feel? If you are a constant caretaker and a constant pleaser and a constant giver and a constant person that says yes and yes again, even though you're exhausted, but you say yes and you pour yourself into everybody else, how does your gas tank look right now? Like, is it empty? Is there you're on the side of the road and you're like, I can't keep moving forward like this? If that is you, I'm speaking to you today. If your gas tank is half full, let's get you to full. Because I think when I was younger and in the midst of raising my little ones and in the midst of a marriage that wasn't serving my heart, actually, I mean, a marriage, let's talk about love for a minute. Love is equal, and we shouldn't have a person to make us happy, right? Our love should come within. But if you're in an environment, if you're in a situation where it's taking, from that tank, right? It's taking all the time and it's like hits, it's like little hits. If you're near someone or around someone that pokes and jabs and pokes and jabs and pokes and jabs, you become indifferent. You become a person that believes you have no worth. And that's where I was. I didn't have self worth. I pretended all the time, but on the inside, I was exhausted. And what that started to cost me was my health. And I gave so much within my students and my job and growing the business and my kids that I thought they weren't noticing, right? Like I think in my head, I thought if I have this smile and I'm so happy and energetic, and I'm going to pour my love into everybody else, but we're going to ignore the eggshells over here and we're going to ignore that I'm not getting enough sleep, that nobody will notice. But I think they do because as a person, we're a mirror, right? Like we project who we are and what we are. And we want to raise our kids. If we are educators, we want to go into our classrooms with love, joy, and rest. So we can fulfill our duties awesome. Like we can be awesome, we can be on, but we have to at night recharge, right? That's why we need to get a good night's sleep. If you're a mama and you're exhausted all the time and you're stressed all the time, you're going to be snippy, you're going to be snappy. It just happens. I remember those days where I look back and think, man, I was a pretty good mom, but I had moments. We are all going to have the moments where we're going to snap, we're going to scream, we're going to yell, we're going to lose our patience, especially if we are not grounded within ourselves. If we are not filling our core up with the love and the care that we need, it's only natural that the stress is going to come out, the snappiness, the lack of patience is going to come out, and that's going to pour into those who are around us. As much as we can pretend and as much as we can try, we cannot keep moving forward over and over and over and over with an empty gas tank. It just doesn't work because what starts to happen is you can start getting sick. You can start getting really weird things happening to your body, like that you think is just normal. I think for a long time, I just thought I felt sick so much that just felt normal to me. It's not normal. You can just be so exhausted that you want to sleep all the time, but you can't. Stress manifests in so many areas of our life. And we want to show up in our classrooms. We want to show up in our schools. We want to show up in our homes with our families and our kids with love in our heart, with grace and patience. But we have to give that to ourselves. We have to honor ourselves. If we do not take care of ourselves emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically, it will catch up to us. And honestly, then we're not living the life that we're supposed to live. I truly believe if you can start taking care of yourself, pour in that love and care in yourself, it trickles down to everybody else. In our homes, in our schools, like we're the leaders. So as a leader, we have to lead. And think about your own kids. Do you want them as they grow up to go, 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 and be overwhelmed and stressed constantly? Of course not. We want the very best for those that we love. So what about ourselves? And I know when I was raising my little ones, and if I sat on the couch for 20 minutes quietly, I would feel guilty. I literally would feel guilty. I would feel like I should be cleaning the kitchen. I should be doing laundry. I should be doing the dishwasher. I should be reading a book to one of my kids. I should be doing, and doing. Resting, sitting quietly was not in my vocabulary. It is not what I had known. It did not feel comfortable because I felt like I was a lazy person if I just sat on my couch. That is a lie. I'm going to tell you that right now. That is absolutely a lie. If you are a go-getter, If you are going, 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 and you are on that hamster wheel every single day with work and students and family and kids and carpool and preschool and daycare and volunteering, and you fall into bed at night so exhausted, how can you create time for you? Because it is possible. And there's seasons of life also. There's seasons where you may have a newborn baby and you are just barely breathing. I know it. I remember it. You're just figuring it all out. There is seasons of life. Some seasons are way busier than others and so overwhelming that you might be thinking, oh, right, I'm carving out 30 minutes a day for myself. Amber, you're insane. You are absolutely crazy. That's never going to happen. I'm going to try to give you some ideas of how you can make that happen, even if you're in a season right now where it's so completely overwhelming and so busy. What if we could lessen the busy and lessen the overwhelming with just a few things every day, just to get you grounded and centered and able to take deep breaths by yourself, for you, and only you. Because if you fill your tank up, if you can fill it up, we can't expect anybody else to fill our tank, honestly. I think if we do live that life, like our partner cannot fill every single part of what we need in this world. It's just impossible, right? That's putting so much pressure on another person. Our children, as much as they bring us joy and love and like unconditional love, like this love that is hard to put into words, how we feel about our kids, they cannot fill our tank. Now, of course, they can say cute things. They can do amazing things. They can make us smile like our students in our schools. I mean, teaching, directing, and owning, in your schools, working in your preschools, if you're an educator, if you're a mama, kids bring the joy and love and laughter. They bring so much laughter. But they truly can't fill up our tanks. They cannot make us have self-care. They don't do that. They bring other elements to our life, which is amazing. So how can you learn to love yourself without feeling guilty? How can you learn to pause every day without feeling guilty? How can you learn to say, I need a moment. Mama's going to go take a bath. And if you have a partner that lives with you, a spouse, maybe it's every night you say, let them know, use your words and tell them, I need 30 minutes. I need a bath. If you are a single mama and you are raising those kiddos, do you have someone close by? Do you have a family member that maybe one day a week you can have an hour a week or 2 hours a week? When my kids were little, my former mother-in-law, but always in my heart forever, mother-in-law, was the most amazing grandma. And my kids adore her to this day, like adore her, and they see her all the time. She was such an active grandma. And my kids would have grandma days. My daughter especially remembers this. She would have one day a week, she'd have a grandma day. And grandma would come and pick her up from preschool and spend time with her and just have a day of fun. They would make nachos, they would have a tea party. And my daughter now goes and throws the tea party for her grandma and goes and babysits her grandma. And it's a very special relationship. Do you have family that is close to you that you can set up? Maybe it's once a month, maybe it's twice a month, but it's a morning or it's a half day or whatever you can do that is time for you. And I don't care if you just sit in your car or you go to Target and you just walk around that store, put, AirPods in and enjoy your music and eat the popcorn and have a slushie, go have a coffee at Starbucks, whatever brings you joy. I think it's so important to schedule it. Just as we schedule and plan everything else for everybody else, doctor's appointments for our kiddos, we do our curriculum planning for our students, we plan staff meetings if you're an owner of a school, just as you are planning and scheduling everybody else and work and things to work really well, your classroom, your kids' functions, what are you scheduling for you? What does your self-love, self-care look like this week, today? Like, what does it look like? have shared last week, and I'll probably always share a little bit. But through the years, I have been the lucky person to have quite a few health things in my life. And I'm going to be really transparent here and honest. And it doesn't feel good to say this, but I think for a lot of time, that was my story for years. I was the girl that got cancer at 31. I was the girl that had to get a hysterectomy at 37. I was the girl that had heart issues at 37. I was the girl that would get any freaking weird virus that came around. I got it, like weird old things. I was the girl that had to go to the doctors multiple times and get steroids and antibiotics because I'm so sick I can barely move. I'm the girl that went and lifted weights a few years ago and got a frozen shoulder at, I was like 44, and I couldn't move my arm literally over my head and have to have surgery. I'm the girl that a couple years ago, actually in February, I started getting crazy migraines working out where I could barely see out of my right eye. A headache would come on my left. I couldn't walk very far. I was getting dizzy. I would stop sleeping. And come to find out there's a cyst, a benign tumor in the middle of my freaking brain. But my story for a long time was I'm sick. I am the girl with health issues. And after my brain surgery, I had that June 29th, 2022, when they cut into my skull. I had a craniotomy. I was sick of that story. I was tired of it. And I started to take steps of loving myself, caring for myself, and scheduling time for myself. And I don't want that story anymore. But in order for us to love and to care for our soul, we have to schedule it and we have to put it in motion. And some of the things I put in motion, especially this last summer, because a year ago, March, I had some other things going on and they thought the cancer was back. And so I had to go through 4.5 months of scanning and testing, and I was in a very dark place. I hadn't been in that dark of a place for years, and I was in a really dark place. I was literally not functioning. I was on my couch from 2 o'clock on in the afternoon because I could not move. That's how dark of a place I was in. And this summer, I actually crawled myself back out of that darkness. And thank goodness, thank God, praise God, that the cancer wasn't back. I got lots of testings and found out different things, which was amazing and life-changing. I kind of found out some things about my health, and I was an advocate. Part of self-care is being an advocate. If you are not feeling good, if you have not been feeling good for a long time, if you feel like something is wrong, love yourself. Be your advocate. I found out this summer I cannot have gluten. And I took gluten out of my diet, and here I am. I have not felt this good. I don't even know when. I can't even put it into words. I don't know if it was in my 20s. I don't know when I have felt this good. I feel amazing just taking that gluten out. But if I wasn't wanting to take care of myself and love myself and find out answers, I would never have found that out. So part of self-care is like the whole package. Really, I was in a really dark spot last spring, like horribly dark. Mentally, I was not there, and I had to crawl myself up out of that hole. Physically, I wasn't there. Spiritually, I wasn't there. But I believed in myself and I crawled myself out. So now I'm going to give you some tips of what I've been doing that has been really game changers, and they're simple. Here's the thing. We're so busy, right? All of us have busy lives, especially if you are a mama of young ones. You are busy. If you're an educator, you're super busy with your kiddos and your class and your students. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you're busy with the business. But are you so busy enough that you can't take care of yourself? Would you rather have that longevity and live a long time? Like, it finally clicked on me that I don't want that story anymore. I don't want to be that girl that's sick. And I want to see my grandbabies. Like, I want to see them. I want longevity in my life. I want to be strong. I want to be healthy. I want to be mentally happy, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So I move my body. Here's my little daily routine that I'm going to share. If we have a list of 20 things, it's really overwhelming, right? Like, who has a list of 20 things for self care? What if you make it 3 things a day? 3 things a day that you are going to love yourself enough that you're going to do. One of my things is in the morning, I wake up. I like to wake up early. I like when the house is quiet. I'm a morning person. I've always been a morning person. You may be a night owl. And so maybe this routine or your self love, your self care is going to happen at night. For me, the morning is where I feel the best. So I am very religious now about this. I go downstairs, I have a green juice. AG1s is my particular green juice. I am not a huge vegetable person. I like vegetables, but it's hard for me to eat a ton. I drink my green juice, my red juice, and I have my cup of coffee and I journal. And I just sit quiet on the couch. For me, I pray, I journal, I write down things that are going on. I started journaling really regularly a year and a half ago. And it was just part of my morning routine. And now, of course, there are going to be mornings where you are running out the door at 6 a.m. It's just insanity. I'll give you an example. Tuesday of this week that I was in a very intense business meeting, very intense, from 9:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. at night. It was the same day as my book launch. So yesterday was Wednesday. I pretty much laid in bed and did nothing most of the day because I was exhausted and I listened to my body. But I also understand that my kids are all almost adults. And I also understand that that is not possible when you're raising little ones. For me to say, I laid in bed till 12 in the afternoon when I was a mom raising little ones, that would never have happened. So I do understand that. But just acknowledging when you need to take breaks. And so some days your routine, your self-care routine won't be fulfilled because of other things. But if you start to schedule it on a regular basis, like every single day now, since August, green juice, red juice, my supplements, my vitamin D, my supplements, my omega. And then I sit on the couch and then have quiet time. I drink my coffee, I journal, I just sit and I'm quiet. The next thing that I do, I go about my day, but I've been making moving your body, move your body. Last spring, I didn't move my body. I was mentally not in a good spot, which created, I didn't want to move. And it just created this whole everything hurt and I couldn't function. I had to start forcing myself to move my body. I literally last spring could only go, I'd walk maybe 15 minutes and I'd make my husband, like, we'd turn around. Like, that's how bad it was. Once I dug myself out, moving your body is so good. And I'm not a huge gym person, but I love to walk. I never used to like to walk. Never used to like to walk. Walk, move your body, move your body. I would go 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and now I do about an hour and 20 minutes. I go about 4 miles. I try to do that every day. Yesterday was my day that I call grace. I had a moment of grace day yesterday because I was exhausted. I knew my body just needed to just sit and be still and like decompress from everything. So give yourself some grace, but moving your body daily. Bring your kiddos on a walk, have them ride their bikes. You know, if you're on the playground, walk that playground, which is the best way anyways. If you're a teacher, an educator, I talk about this in my academy program, training program. If you're on the playground, walk, because we should be watching, we should be supervising. And honestly, if you are an educator and you're listening to this, you're like, Amber, I get my steps a day. You do, you move your body. I believe it. I know it. You get your steps, but move your body. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. This is another thing I was horrible at. But now I literally have a giant water bottle. I get 80 ounces a day of water, pretty much no matter what. I'll sit on the couch because I don't know about you, but if I drink a ton of water, I'm in the bathroom all day long. So most of my water consumption is at night. I like to veg out at night. I need my TV time to shut my brain off. And that's where I'll just start chugging my water. So I'm home, because if I'm out and about running errands, I don't have time to go to the bathroom 50 times. But water, hydrate your body. Hydrate hydrate, hydrate. It's so good for us. Like getting that water intake is so good for so many things, and moving your body and journaling. And I'm going to circle back to journaling on why I think it's so important. Journaling is so important. One, I think, let's talk about gratitudes. In my journal, I talk about the things I'm thankful for. I sometimes talk about what went on the day before, but I talk about what I'm thankful for. And I also talk about my goals and dreams. And I write it down and I visualize what I want in this life. It is so powerful. I started journaling regularly in the mornings, October 23. And I cannot believe the amount of amazingness and stuff that I've accomplished since then. And I truly believe when you pause and you reflect on all the things you're grateful for, even in the hard, you may be in the hard at this very moment, but even in the dark and even in the hard, there's always something to be grateful for, always. And if you write it down, you can see it. And what I like about journaling and what's powerful is you can go back. You can see where you were and where you are now. It is amazing. I'm telling you, it's really helped me live intentionally and write down those goals and dreams. And like my book launch, it happened. That was one of my goals and dreams. I made it happen. I have another goal and dream that I've been writing down every day, and I want it to happen. So, but I also reflect on what I'm thankful for. What are you thankful for? Bringing gratitude into your life is self-care. It's love. It's filling yourself up. It is. It's a great moment to just be present and to say, thank you for my life. It may be very difficult right now, but thank you for my kids. Thank you for my job. Thank you for my students. Thank you for my clients. Thank you for my spouse. Thank you for my health. Here's another thing I've learned. Even if it's not happening right now, when I was going through my divorce, it was so horribly dark. I mean, like I've said before, I say it again, thank God we don't see the future because we may not get out of bed. And if I would have seen all that was going to happen when I decided to leave, I don't think I would have been strong enough to go through it. That's why, thank goodness, we don't know our future. But I was strong enough and I did get through it. And there's another side. But during those moments of darkness, I held on to what I wanted my life to be like. And I would say it out loud. I would say, I have an amazing relationship with my kids. I have found true love in my life. I am financially free. I am going to see the sun again. And I would say those things all day long, even though my life was horrible. My life was dark. Like I felt as though I was broken into like thousands of pieces, but I would say those words all day long until I started believing it was going to be real. And that's where journaling comes in. What do you want for your life? What do you need for your life? What's the kind of care that you need? So those are just simple morning routines for self-care, self-love. Maybe once a month you do ask a friend. If you don't have family around, maybe you partner up with a friend. And here's another one I think that's really important for self-care is finding community. It's very hard to do things alone. And it's really hard to go through hard things alone. I think part of self-care and self-love is finding a tribe, finding a community of like-minded friends who lift you up. So maybe you work out a deal like, I'll take your kids for one day, you take mine, something like that. So you have a break. Maybe one day a month you have a break. Maybe it's one day a week you can arrange that. Those are some things you can do. Community is really important. I think lifting each other up is amazing. It's fuel. It's awesome. I think community is amazing. But just implementing those simple things, a routine every single day where you are having a moment for you to reflect of how far you've come in this life, maybe reflect of where you want to go, but just pouring that quiet, that stillness, that love within you, the patience, the grace, that the water, hydrating, moving your body. It's like taking care of this. Like we are just given this moment of life. We just have this moment. We don't know what tomorrow holds, right? We don't know what is going to come tomorrow. Like we've all been in those situations where you might have gotten a phone call and it's like the worst news in the world. It's our responsibility to take care of ourselves, this body, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, so we can be the best versions of ourselves. So when we are giving all the time, we're giving, we're also filling ourselves up. If we fill ourselves up, then we can give the best way we can give. But then we have to fill ourselves back up. And filling myself up, I know, is having quiet time. It's moving my body. It's hydrating. It's having my greens. It's having my reds. It's having my supplements. I'm back at the gym. I'm incorporating the gym. I'm lifting weights. But those are just my 3 simple ones that it seems that I can keep it up. And then you can add on. I know I also do like a self-care day a month. I try to do 1 self-care day a month. And that's been lovely. I get a facial. I never used to get facials, but that's been like my thing. I just love my facials. So what is it that you love to do? Maybe you want to go and sit at a park and you want to read a book. Maybe you just want to go read. Like what will bring you joy and what will fill your tank? And I want you to know that you don't have to feel guilty. Asking grandma to watch your babies, don't feel guilty. Or swapping with friends, you guys shouldn't feel guilty. We have to take care of ourselves so we can be there for the long run. If we do not take care of ourselves today fully, how are we going to expect to be there for the long run? We want to see our kids grow up. We want to see them have kids. I want to be an old woman. I want to be an old woman that has seen an amazing life. That takes taking care of myself right now. Because if you don't process the stress, if you don't get that out, if you don't talk through the hard, if you don't cope well, it all gets stuffed within us and it manifests. And if you are struggling mentally, I have seen therapists on and off my whole life when I am a super advocate of going and talking to someone. Self-care is needed and you should never feel guilty about it. Fill up your tank just as you're filling up your little ones' tanks, whether that's your students or your own children. Pick 3 things a day, just 3 things that are simple, that don't feel overwhelming, that you can do to fill up your tank. I hope you guys have just an amazing Valentine's Day. I know I love Valentine's Day because my mom, I talked about this in the Traditions podcast, but she would always throw us a Valentine's dinner, and it was very special on china and little gifts. And I love doing that with my family. It's harder now because they're all spread out and they're adults, and I got to figure out a day in February that works. It won't be probably on that week, but it's so fun. It's just a really fun time. So I love Valentine's Day. I love what it represents, and it's love. And I just want to hope I encourage you guys today just to take time out for you, and you don't have to feel guilty. Fill up your own tanks. Take that time, move your body, hydrate, journal, take a bath. Go to a park, go sit in your car. Maybe your kids, I don't know, go sit in your car if you can. Whatever it is that works for you, just know that it's important to love ourselves, to take care of ourselves. So what we're pouring out is love and joy and kindness, and that we can be here for the long haul for our kids and the long haul for our families, at least doing what we can do. There are going to be things that are out of our control, but we can control so many little things every single day. So anyways, I just wish you guys a fabulous Valentine's Day. Check out the Loving Start Way. There is some amazing things going on in the community. Our curriculum is all set up and ready to go. If you want to save hours of time, if you're an educator, go check out thelovingstartway.com and the free Mama Love program. Go check it out. It's free. It's awesome. Hopefully you will be inspired and encouraged. Everybody have an amazing, fantastic week, and I'll see you back here on the ABCs of Preschool. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hear this podcast. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next episode. For more information on how to work with me, Miss Amber, visit me at thelovingstartway.com or follow me on Insta at thelovingstartway.